Today's episode of Sorry for the Wait is sponsored by air conditioning in the car. You don't really appreciate it until you don't have it.
This episode is also brought to you by SPF 100 sunscreen. This is Sorry for the Wait, folks. Here we go. Fired up, ready to go. Welcome to the show, folks. This is Sorry for the Wait, a weight loss podcast for regular people by regular people. I am your host, Seth.
And I am your host, Strawberry.
And here we are, episode 11.
Man, time flies.
Time really does fly, and I'm feeling relaxed today. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I can't believe we're already at 11 episodes.
I know, it's kind of nuts. It's so funny when we were leading up to launch, and we were just like, when is it going to get here? When is it going to get here? And now, we're there. We're moving and grooving. You know, we are officially...
And we are definitely in the groove now.
Yeah, and we're past 4,000 downloads now. I mean, who knows? Sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's all thanks to those wonderful fans.
Right. And honestly, we're a lot more aerodynamic now, so I feel a little bit better about saying sky's the limit. You know?
Exactly.
Who knows? We could fly.
So how's your week been? Have you had a very flight-filled week?
Yeah, I've had a very kind of terrifying week, honestly.
Oh, yeah?
It's a little bit of a switch up. I mean, the weight loss, great. You know, another 4 pounds. I'm at 110.5 down. I'm sitting right at 240 even.
Nice.
And so we're about 40 pounds away from me getting into my range. And so just as a little precursor to why my week was so rocky emotionally, was the plan. The plan for me was to continue doing the shakes until I get to my goal. And then I would transition back to regular food and focus on maintenance.
And all of this, the plan and everything has been gone over with your team.
with my team and my therapist. These were the steps that were put in place. And your boy, very plan oriented.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That is
You love a good itinerary.
Yeah, my life is an itinerary now, which never used to be the case, but it's very, very pinpointed. So that was the plan. I get an email. I'm sitting in my office. I'm sitting in my office, and it's from the health team that I'm doing this program with. We hope you're all doing well on your current endeavors and persevering through these trying times.
Oh.
And I'm like, you know what? Okay, cool. Maybe it's just a nice check-in. Keep it going, Skip. Keep at it, champ. And then all of the sudden, I get to the second paragraph of the email, which notoriously the second paragraph of any email is the real paragraph.
Right. That's where you get your actual information.
Exactly. And so I get to the second paragraph and it goes, however, the OptiFast program through our branch will be discontinued starting July 15th.
July 15th, huh?
July 15th, the program will be completely discontinued. No more shakes for your boy.
Wow.
And so I'm going to
That's not a lot of notice, Seth.
Yeah, Bear, I'm going to be honest, it's not great. But here's the thing, okay, is that when I got this email, I kind of went into flight mode, I guess. Mm-hmm. And by flight, I guess it would be fight mode because I took it head on, right? Fight or flight.
Yeah.
Regardless.
You took it head on. You didn't just avoid it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I took it head on. So no, not flight. Excuse me on that. But I took it head on and I consulted with the team. I consulted with my therapist. I obviously talked to my parents about it a little bit. And we decided that I would get enough product to get me through July and get me through August. And then I'm going to start getting back into regular food a lot earlier than I thought I would be. And so when you find that out on a Monday,
yeah, that does set the tone for your whole week, doesn't it?
It just really kind of messes with your head. You know what I mean? Because I'm in this routine and I'm cruising along and I haven't had to worry about much. And I understand it's a very different end of the weight loss spectrum. I very much understand that. But when I'm cruising along and I have a plan in mind that's been planned out and is very, very to the T, and then Mike Tyson just comes in and gives me a right hook right to my jaw, I'm kind of just, what am I doing? Where are we going? What's the plan?
And can I also just say that, first of all, it's a little annoying whenever I hear corporations preach the whole the trying times thing at the at the beginning of an email like that. But like, how are you going to say like, hope you're getting through these trying times and then pull the rug out from under somebody? Like that just doesn't have a very good, doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth.
Exactly. And I think the way they saved it a little bit was that they're starting a whole new program in place of this, but it has nothing to do with the shakes.
Right. And so you're already like towards the end of your time on the program. So it's not like you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'll just do this whole other thing now.
I would argue that I'm in kind of like the prime time of this, you know what I mean? Because I'm starting to get to that point where like I have to make this switch because the maintenance portion that's my real chapter. You know what I mean? Like that to me is
learning how to eat right again.
Right. And so to have this plan in place and to be on a timeline, not just with the team, but with my therapist and to be talking about that stuff, it threw me for a loop, but I'm very happy with the way that like I handled it. Like I didn't melt down. I didn't freak out.
And how do you feel about it now? Like knowing that you have a finish line that's a little bit closer than you expected, but now that you have this plan, how do you feel about it?
Now that the plan is in place, I definitely feel better, but like I can't sit here and say that I'm not scared. Like I'm a little terrified, don't get me wrong. Like, and I know that might be a little overzealous to say, but
I think it's absolutely fair.
You know what I mean? It's like this is the time that I'm going to get it right. Like I've made it known. Like this is the time that I'm going to do this the right way and I'm going to get it right. And so any kind of fucking with the plan a little bit just really can set you off. And this is what derails, I think, so many people with weight loss is that once you get off the rails a little bit, it freaks you out. But I'm really happy with the way that I handled it. I'm happy with the team. I have the greatest team of people around me at all times. And you know what? It's the cards you're dealt. So I got to play them. You know, I'm not going to fold. So I'm going to play them. And you know what? I'm going to win. Because I won't accept anything.
You are pretty good at poker. So I would bet on you.
Yeah, exactly. Vegas, baby. So what about you? How was your week?
Maybe I should have gone first because my week was a little less dramatic.
The prestige.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever asked you first.
Yeah,
too,
I was gonna say, it was a nice curve.
But yeah, no, I mean things are still going well. I think this is the first time you and I had the same weight loss on the scale this week because I lost 4 pounds this week.
Matchy match.
Yeah, I really feel like the intermittent fasting that I've started doing is you know, it's going well.
It's paying dividends. Well, that's what I've
gotten into the rhythm now where it doesn't kill me to stop eating at 3 p.m. Like I am totally fine.
Yeah, because that's what I was most interested like in talking to you about. And like I held off from asking about it throughout the week. It's so funny when we live together and I'm like, I want to ask you about that, but I want the unvarnished reaction. And so what day into intermittent fasting, like if you could like kind of guesstimate a day where you finally were like, I feel like I'm getting used to this?
I would say like probably 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5 days. Yeah.
Like it took quite a bit, but I think for me, I'm also more of a morning person. I prefer to like get my food in the morning. So to me, it was kind of like the preferred way I would go about my day anyway.
Right.
It wasn't this huge change to me. It was just now instead of like eating until like 5 or 6 or 7, now I'm just getting it all out before 3. And you know, I'm not eating significantly less than I was before I started doing the intermittent fasting.
You're compacting it into a schedule.
Right. And I think it kind of helps out too that, you know, I always heard that like eating before bed was always one of the worst things because you're not exercising. That stuff's just like
you're very sedentary.
There.
Yeah.
So, you know, kind of getting all my, like the majority of my calories out in the morning is kind of a nice thing.
And have you started to really kind of like with intermittent fasting, have you started to kind of fold in more moving around in the times when you're not eating?
Yeah, I've actually started going out for walks now 2 days in a row.
Nice. Hey, a streak is a streak, baby.
It's a streak.
That's how you do it. Like you can't get to 3 unless you get 2.
It's funny. It was actually kind of inspired by one of my campers or former campers who's now a listener. And he had like told me that he likes to listen to us for his 2-hour walks every day.
Nice.
He throws on 2 episodes of Sorry for the Wait and just goes walking.
Yeah, and I know exactly who you're talking about too. And we know he's listening to this the exact second that it drops.
Yeah, and he'll probably listen to it 4 or 5 more times on walks. And that's great.
So you know what, Logan, that's for you. But you know, that's honestly, I'm glad that it's paying dividends, and I'm glad that you're sticking with it because you've been very, very disciplined around the apartment. Like when it comes to going to like kind of grab a snack and then you just kind of slap your own hand away.
I still kind of like let myself go through the motions. Like I walk up to the fridge probably 10 times a day. I open it and then I close it and don't do anything.
Folks, I'm not joking. It'll be like 6:30 p.m. and I'll be at my computer. I'll be like doing some shit on my laptop, and then I'll look over and Barry's just staring into the fridge, and then you kind of do this like weird little like shaking of your head, and then you just close it. And you know what? If going through the motions, if that's what works for you, it's what works for you.
Yeah, you know what? And it helps because then I also take stock of what things I need to buy when I go grocery shopping.
Yeah, you always have a running list of what you need to get at the store.
I know the inside of that fridge like the back of my hand.
Now, speaking of going to the store, right? You walk through a store and you walk by some cool stuff, and it just makes you think, man, I'm craving that, or I'm craving this. Maybe a little bit of that. Maybe I'll zig when you think I'm going to zag.
Are you trying to say that we're about to move on to craving of the week?
Barry, you're goddamn right I am. What are you craving this week?
All right. So I'm not usually one for exaggeration here, hyperbole, if you will. But I'm going to throw that out the window today. I want a sushi tree.
A sushi tree?
I want to plant a tree in my backyard. Assume that we have a backyard.
Okay.
I want to plant a tree in the backyard, and I want fully formed rolls of sushi to sprout off of the branches like a fruit. I don't like it has to have the rice and the seaweed, like it comes all together. Like I don't want to have to prepare it myself because that's not how fruit works.
That's not how fruit works, Barry. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're spot on there. I do wonder about, there's so many questions I have. This is fascinating to me.
Please ask.
Freshness is a dilemma. You're going to have to keep this kind of in a chilled environment, I would assume.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know, man. Like hot sushi hanging off the tree.
Maybe if we could make it so that it like blooms in the winter.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now, when you're planting this tree, I'm assuming, like in my head, the base and the branches are they regular tree and then just sushi sprouts, or is the like roots rice and like as well? Like how in are you going?
I didn't really go that far into it. I was really just assuming, like a regular tree, but the same way that like
you
apple.
You want a money tree, but sushi.
Yeah.
So what are the top rolls that are on your sushi tree?
I'm so glad you asked. I am a fan of your traditional spicy blank rolls. So spicy tuna rolls, spicy salmon rolls, spicy crab rolls.
Okay.
I am also a huge fan of like a lot of the specialty rolls that you can find at any sushi place.
That's where your boy lives right here.
Boston roll, Philadelphia roll, spider roll, dragon roll.
I think the spider roll is my favorite roll of sushi. With a soft shell crab and that little bit of sauce on top of that. I've
just really been craving the sushi
this
week.
We used to get sushi a ton, and we always used to kind of justify it in our heads like, it's sushi.
It's healthy.
Yeah, like it can't be that bad. Carbs. Like, but like somehow we would go through like 5-6 rolls in a sitting, and we would be totally fine. But
yeah,
that's a very fascinating one. And I like. So is it leveled too? Like you have to think. You want to easily get these off. You don't want this tree to be too tall.
Oh yeah, no. I want it to be maybe like, I don't know. I should be able to stand on my tippy toes and be able to touch like all the branches.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a good size. And then are they pre-cut?
I mean, yeah, that's how they.
Okay, so yeah, well, because what I'm wondering is like if it's full rolls of sushi, like is the tree like just this beautiful smorgasbord of different rolls where like you can just go pick the piece right off?
That is exactly what and in my head, I also thought of it like an Animal Crossing when you walk up to a tree and you shake the tree and things fall down. I feel like if we put a big bucket under the tree, you could just shake the tree a few times and get like a cacophony of multicolored and multi-type sushi rolls.
I couldn't agree more. And then you just kind of bring that right in, and then you can plate it all beautifully.
Yeah,
maybe you have guests over, and it's like, please, hold on. I just got to go out to the sushi tree. I'll be right back.
And you know what? If we do want to take it a little bit further, how about we like stick a spigot in the tree and outpour soy sauce?
Ooh, like in Hunger Games where she uses the tap to like get the water out of the tree. That's a good one. That's a really good craving.
Thank you. And what is your craving of the week?
So this is a little different. The hyperbole. Stop looking at my paper, man.
All right,
jeez,
sorry,
God,
cheating.
Folks, Barry likes to cheat. And Barry doesn't look at his own paper. For how
I really
smart
don't.
This boy is.
I spend all day writing on it, and then I don't need to use it because once I write it down,
right. So you just want to know my shit in advance, which is even funnier. So Barry, I'm trying to get more into seafood, right? And trust me, this will get there. Okay, I'm trying to get more into seafood when I get back into regular food. Like I love seafood. It's just I don't eat it frequently.
Well, we were on a seafood diet before.
Yeah, we see food, we eat it. Yeah, exactly. And that was our favorite. But I need to get more into the SEA food, you know?
Okay.
I need to get swimming with those fishies. So I'm trying to combine. Who says craving of the week needs to be a little one-dimensional, you know, like where it's just focused on one thing? This is a multifaceted craving of the week. I want an industrial-sized fish tank filled with Baja Blast. Like, Ooh. That's what I want. I want an industrial-sized fish tank full of Baja Blast. And now here's where the fishy fish come in.
And when you say Baja Blast, for those folks at home who are not familiar,
if you do not know
what is a Baja Blast?
If you don't know what Mountain Dew Baja Blast is, then we're gonna have to have a serious conversation about your upbringing.
I mean, I guarantee you, my mom and my grandparents probably weren't familiar with all the Mountain Dew flavors.
It's fair. It's just a Taco Bell staple. I mean, every time I go to Taco Bell, I just always know that I'm gonna get Baja Blast. But I want a fish tank full of Mountain Dew like Baja Blast. It's one of the greatest nectars of the gods. And I want this fish tank full, but then the fish come into play, right? I want this fish tank to have some sort of sorcery on it where these fish are dropped in, different types of fish that I want to try, and also fish that I love or seafood that I love, like lobsters and scallops, living in this tank.
Ooh, and so like they're absorbing the Baja Blast into them. So
you are absolutely right. So imagine having, and tonight we have a butterflied broiled lobster tail with a hint of Baja, and they just serve that up to me. What a world that would be, where it's a whole new world of seafood. Like all the fish are just kind of absorbing. It's like the hint of lime chips, but better and edible. You know what I mean? Like it's hint of Baja in my seafood, like broiled scallops with Baja.
So what types of fish would you have in there? You know, you already listed some of the seafood. What sort of fish are you interested in trying to see if their flavors are compatible with the Baja Blast?
I think salmon would be a good one here. And then I think salmon would be a good one. Man, I think Baja Blast could even make something like tilapia taste good. Even just the tilapia sounds like a disease you get on a cruise ship.
Tilapia or tilapia?
I don't know, man. Tilapia, it sounds like a disease you get on a cruise ship. Like either way, no matter what. And then here's like a little brain wrinkle here, you know, in this fish tank. I can also just go in and scoop. You know, I wouldn't mind doing that as long as the fishies survive. I really like pray for their well-being. But if they also go, they're going to be part of the dinner.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're not raising those fishies to live forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like Japanese battlefish, you know, where I'm just like looking at them because like, look, it's blue and a little bit of yellow. But a red snapper in the tank, right? If a red snapper just absorbs Baja Blast, is it essentially just an extra large Swedish fish?
Did you go through this entire scenario just to land on that joke?
I wrote that bit down when I did my show notes, and I like honestly was cackling to myself, being like, I really hope this is as funny as I think it is.
Did you come up with like the Swedish fish and then you worked the rest of the craving around it?
I honestly was just like, it's sweet, it's a fish. The first thing I thought of was Swedish fish, and so I was like, this would just be an oversized Swedish fish. And tonight we are presenting you with a Swedish fish, and people are expecting just like a candy, and it's a red snapper with hint of Baja Blast. So
you know, I do want to try that now. So.
Exactly. Don't knock it till you try it. And so that's what your boy is craving this week. And so we are down another craving of the week. But you know what, folks? We're going to bring back another segment, a favorite amongst many, especially on our Instagram. We are going back to my Go 3.
I got to say, before we even get into this week's, I will say that I stand by my Go 3 from last time. And I feel like people didn't quite get the whole gas station vibe. I got a lot of criticism for not balancing the sweet and the salty. Like, let me tell you right now, I have a sweet tooth. I will double down on sweets every day.
You will double down on sweets, but just the Rice Krispie treat, I think, sent people into oblivion. Like, people were like, their minds were actually blown.
Well, you know what? Fine, more for me.
Exactly. And so, like, let's be honest, I won that one according to popular opinion. You can have your stance, but you know what? Results are results, and your boy, great teams find a way to win. But you know what? We're going back to my Go 3, and we're changing up the environment, folks. You know what it is. We pick an environment. We pick 3 things that are our go-tos or our Go 3s, and we just let it ride. And then you guys are going to decide who won. And so, Barry, let's go take a trip to the carnival. A really good environment. We kind of teased this the last time we did it. I'm glad
I put a lot of thought into it because I've eaten a lot of carnival food in my day.
Barry, you took that first loss and you went back to the film room. and you watched what you did and you stood by your game plan, but you know what? I think you put in a lot of hours to make sure that you come out with a win here. And I'm a little intimidated.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm doubling down here on the sweet because every
foreshadowing.
Yeah, like I mean, people will judge, but you know what? I think I have a very strong roster here.
And so we're going to go with a carnival. We're going to go carnival, state fair, like county fair, like you know the environment, like do like that. If you hear that song, you know where we're at. You know where the Weight Boys will be. Okay, the big boys of podcasting.
Is that our new?
I don't know.
Brand, the Weight Boys?
I kind of like the big boys of podcasting. You know what I mean?
You know what? I kind of like that.
I kind of like that.
It feels a little egotistical considering we're on episode 11.
Yeah, we're so far ahead of ourselves.
Who's the biggest name in podcasts, Joe Rogan or Seth and Strawberry?
Exactly, and it's the latter every time. But so we're at the carnival now. I'm going to defer to you. This is your pick on who leads off because.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah, you want to go? Okay, all right. Let it rip.
All right. So first, I feel like the staple for me has to be the fried Oreo.
Ooh, okay.
The first time I ever had a fried Oreo, I still remember exactly when and where I was.
It was a sexual awakening for you. Yeah.
I feel like everybody's first time with a fried Oreo is
it's something to remember. No, yeah. I absolutely feel that.
Tannersville Carnival 2014.
Wow, that's exactly where it was, and I think I was with you that night too. I 100% was with you that night. So
Absolutely.
Now, okay, so let's go to your second and your third, and then we'll debrief.
Okay, second, and this is almost maybe too specific for people to relate to, but an ice cream sandwich in between two hot waffles.
I knew you were going to go with this one.
And I feel like a lot of people who didn't go to the Tannersville Carnival, Tannersville Fair.
No, you might not have found it.
You might never have seen this before. But let me tell you, they had a booth where you got an ice cream sandwich that was a slab of
it was a square
ice cream. Yeah, like a square sandwich between two big fluffy waffles.
Now, you know what the most baffling, because I was with you the night that you got, I know I was with you the night you got this. It was summer 2013.
Yep.
And we were all out, and I remember you walked over with this thing, and I remember about to be like, I started to open my mouth, and I was like, what? And you were like, it's a waffle ice cream sandwich. And I was so baffled. The most baffling part of that, $3.
Yeah.
$3.
$3
for an experience like that? Sign me up, dude. So you went vanilla ice cream on this one, I remember, because I think I still have the picture of it. I'm going to have to throw it up on our Instagram if I find it. But was there a decision between chocolate and vanilla, or were you just like straight up like vanilla's the only choice?
I mean, I think I tried chocolate after that. Not that year, a different year. I don't think. I'm proud to say that I've never done that twice in one night.
Jordan, back to back. So what's your third thing?
Another classic, funnel cake.
Funnel cake. Okay. That's a really good one.
Lots of that powder though.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask is like is your funnel cake like a very powdered sugar, or is it a very cinnamon sugar? Like what's your
powdered sugar.
Powdered sugar always. Yeah. Okay.
Always.
Now, and then going back to the fried Oreos now, cuz that's where we didn't get to really debrief that one as much with the fried Oreos. Are you heavy on the powdered sugar there, or are you kind of plain?
I'm kind of. I actually treat it the way I treat sushi and soy sauce.
Okay.
I'll have a bite without it first, and then I'll have a bite with all of it.
That's a good one.
And then I'll make the decision. What do I want to do for that last?
Yeah.
bite?
Where is this going? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. You know what? I have no complaints. I have no criticisms. I have no questions about this one.
I'm very interested to see where you're going with it.
So. It's kind of funny because we obviously we did match in the space of one, okay? And so Barry, like my go 3 for our carnival is all about EOC, okay? EOC. Any guesses?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
No, come on.
EOC, eating over.
God, okay, we're gonna scrap it. Ease of consumption.
Oh, okay.
You're walking around the carnival, Bear. You know, like you're zigging, you're zagging. Maybe you want to throw a baseball at some bowling pins because why not? You know, and you're just kind of trying to eat things that are easy.
Okay, that's fair.
Delicious nonetheless, but easy. And so we're in the same space on this first one because I went with fried dough. I went with fried dough. Specifically, though, a malasada. And a malasada is like a Portuguese fried dough.
Oh, I've actually never had that.
And so a malasada is very, very dense, which is like a perfect description of us, but very cinnamon sugar heavy.
Okay.
Because your boy, like powdered sugar, no shame. You know what I mean? But I do like that kind of granular cinnamon sugar mix.
Okay.
And then it's got like butter on it.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like that is
Now I want a funnel cake with
like
butter.
when people like honestly when people think of me, they do kind of think like, yeah, sweet, little salty and buttery. Like
Is that what people think when they see
well,
you?
that's what I've heard, you know. I mean, just through the podcastosphere, you know, it's just
sweet,
people be like
salty, and sweet,
sweet, little bit salty, little bit salty.
You can be a lot of bit salty
I can
sometimes.
be a lot of it salty. So, but either way, that's kind of like the space that I like to be in, because like fried dough for me is an easy thing to eat if you know what you're doing. I'm a big folder of the fried dough.
Oh, kind of like a pizza. Almost.
Like kind of like a pizza slice. I kind of fold that goodness up and then just nom, 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 nom. So that's your boy.
Wait, can you do that sound again?
No, I absolutely will not. Okay. Nom, 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 nom. Okay. God, that's going to be such a bad soundbite that I don't want to hear years from now. My second thing, okay? Now, this one was a staple at like a fair, like at a carnival of me growing up in my hometown. Mac and cheese bites with bacon in them.
Okay.
And so there used to be a booth where
I appreciate that. That's the first I think meal either of us have put like between both of us.
Like that's a mac and cheese bites with bacon. That's the perfect cross of some of my favorite shit.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because like I love mozzarella sticks, but like mozzarella sticks for me, like I'm not trying to get those at the carnival. I get those like when I go out to a restaurant and like appy up, you know? That's that appetizer life. But mac and cheese bites are dangerous. Like you can get a lot for very little, but you can just kind of pop those things. That's like Mentos, dog. Like to me, like
just tic-tacking it up.
Exactly. Like that's very easy for me. Like mac and cheese bites are so sacred, and I love when they come in the little triangle. Like when people can kind of form them in the little...
Is the shape important to you?
Shape is important to me. Like I kind of like to hold it like a ninja star and then just defeat all my enemies, but then I just go, I don't want to fight you. I'd rather eat this. It's going to end up on the ground.
Yeah, you really want to throw that away?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like I kind of just let my enemies go. I'm not good at fighting crime. Like I'm not for the kind of fat superhero that I want to be. But regardless, mac and cheese bites, a staple for me at a carnival. Now, the last thing, this one might throw you for a loop because you know that I'm not a huge turkey fan.
Okay.
Like I'm not.
You've already thrown me for a loop with that qualifier there.
Well, so like and we've talked about this before, which you've most likely forgotten any conversation that we had because you probably tried to repress it. But I like turkey. I like turkey, but I'm not crazy about turkey. You know what I mean? Like even on Thanksgiving, like I don't eat a ton of turkey.
Right.
Like, I usually kind of load up on everything else. But at the carnival, dude, the only type of turkey that I will devour is a turkey leg. Like getting a turkey leg.
Now, are you talking about like the huge oversized turkey legs from like a cartoon?
Exactly. I'm talking about like King Richard's Fair, which is here based in Massachusetts, like those Renaissance fairs, but a lot at carnivals too. They will have some of these booths with just these massive turkey legs. It's my dream of becoming Fred Flintstone, like transposing to reality. Ease of consumption. I can hold that thing by the end and I have this massive leg of turkey meat that is just, oh, it's crispy, it's juicy, and I just bite into that shit and go, hey, Don, how you doing? And then I just go back right into my turkey leg.
Honestly, now that you've given like the turkey leg and the mac and cheese bites, I'm kind of feeling self-conscious because I didn't even know it was a thing to like eat actual food, like with actual substance at a carnival.
Well, I think that
I've only ever eaten like straight up fried garbage.
Well, I think that's I think that people are in like one camp or the other. Like I like to go to a carnival and I like to kind of spread it out. Like I almost like to treat it in courses. You know what I mean?
Oh, see, I treat it like I am like on a bender.
Like you're just like, well, there's no going back. Full speed, full send.
Yeah, you know what? Calories don't count after dark.
Yeah, calories don't count when the sun goes down, baby. But that's like the turkey leg, the mac and cheese. But I think that's a good and like I'm about balance and using the ease of consumption filter. Like that's how I was able to like really filter this down.
Okay.
But folks, we really want to know like what your go 3 is. You know what I mean? Like I really need to know who won. Did Barry get his first win of the season, or am I 2-0?
Probably not. I did not have a very good balance there.
Yeah, but I don't know. But again, you stick to your guns.
Oh, I do. I am unapologetic.
Yeah.
I do kind of want to circle back real quick to the fried dough for a second, though.
Okay.
Do you remember, I want to say maybe 2014 or 2015 at that same
2015. It was 2015. I remember it vividly, and I know the story you're about to tell. Please proceed.
Okay. So clearly you do remember it. One of our friends, Nick, got a 2-foot long slab of fried dough.
And that's not being facetious. It was literally 2 feet.
It was 2 feet by probably like 6 inches.
Yep, absolutely.
And it was just this like rectangular slab. And everybody saw Nick coming away from the stand. It was like,
hands.
Nick, like he was two-handing it. Like, Nick, what are you doing? Telling him he can't eat it. And then he ate it.
He did.
He did. He housed the entire thing.
He ate 2 feet of fried dough on a night off at a carnival.
Here's where my own problems really come to the surface.
Oh, no.
Because that was a point in my life where I was taking lots of pride in being the fattest asshole that you could find. So
yeah,
like
everything was a challenge.
Yeah, like if somebody ate 20 slices of pizza, I had to eat 21.
Yeah.
And so I see Nick eat this 2-foot long slab of fried dough. And this is already after I've had my waffle sandwich. This is after I've already had a fried Oreo. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get a 2-foot fried dough slab.
Right.
And I made it about halfway through that before I had to throw it out because I knew I was going to puke all over the place.
Jeez, yeah. Some challenges are just too big.
I could only eat a foot.
Oh, that's terrible. But either way, I'm glad you were able to bring that up because I remember that.
It was probably my first food failure.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe
there just wasn't room.
Maybe it was for the best. But folks, please tell us who won. Let us know who won and submit, obviously, when we put this up on our Instagram as well. But you know what? We want to move on to our main topic of the day. Now,
what is our main topic of the day today, Seth?
The main topic in the title of this episode is called Feeding Our Egos. Now, feeding our egos, I mean, that can be...
What do egos eat?
Well, what do egos eat? I'll tell you, I know what a little side dish is, and we're going to get into that. But the whole main point of this topic is that you and we've hit so many milestones weight-wise. Like, especially at this point. And as we're starting to see people more and more, like me getting back into the office, like you being able to see friends of ours who are able to come up, we are seeing more and more people, especially as we're coming out of the Q word. But those compliments, they come at you fast. Okay, people are saying you look great, you look incredible. This is so inspiring. Like you're really taking a hold of it. And on the surface, that really does feed your ego.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
it's half the reason I did this.
And so, especially for you, yeah, I was going to say this is new territory for you. This is kind of my second time going through it. But for you, like what goes through your head, like snap reaction when someone's like, you look incredible?
I mean, snap reaction is like, oh, geez, stop. But then I like wave them on to keep going.
Please keep flattering me.
Yeah, like because it's a really dope feeling, and you know when you weigh a lot and you don't ever lose any weight, you don't really ever hear those compliments. You know, I remember after my first summer, I got compliments on how I looked when I came back,
right?
And then after that, I don't think I ever lost enough weight at camp for it to really like
be noticeable.
I mean, people would say like, "Oh, you look good," but it'd be like, "Mom, I lost 10 pounds." Like,
right, exactly. And maybe that was just the context of knowing you were at camp, and they were just like, whatever they come back. Good.
And then there were some summers where I gained weight, and then I came back, and people were like, "Oh, hey, you
really have not slimmed down." Like,
so like being in a place where not only am I getting
true.
the compliments, but I actually feel like I've earned the compliments. It does feel really nice.
And so so I'm fascinated by you going through this for the first time. So have you associated any worry with it? Because I always like to describe the compliments that you get when you're losing weight as the best and most dangerous feeling in the world.
Well, yeah, and I do think a part of that is just kind of my experience watching my friends, you most of all,
yeah, absolutely,
kind of go through. You lost a lot of weight, and then you put a lot of weight back on, and now you've lost a lot of weight again. And you know, you're big on saying that you want this to be the last time,
right?
And I feel the same way because I
I
know you would talk to me when you would put on weight and kind of like the pressures.
Yeah, you had a front row seat to my demise.
Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that. Like how did it make you feel?
Well, so here was the thing is that I felt like it created, like I looked at it as it had two heads. It created complacency and irrationality. Okay.
Ooh.
And so that's what it created for me. Right. And this isn't for everybody, but this is for me. And hopefully it helps people if they start to go through it to maybe just kind of approach different angles, because these are angles that you don't think of.
So what do you mean by complacency and irrationality?
So where it comes with complacency is that so often with weight loss, we're seeking external validation. Okay. We're seeking the approval of others. right? And so once we feel like we got the thing that we longed for, people telling us that like you look good, girls telling me that like I look cute, like that's the kind of stuff that before when I had lost weight, that's why I did it. Because I wanted the real reason why I lost weight the first time was because I wanted to date. Like I wanted to have serious relationships and like to not be considered just like the fat friend in the group.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially outside of camp. In camp, totally different story. Like, because people saw me for me, but I wanted to be able to like not go through the entire year thinking like, do they just think of me as like the fat guy in the group who likes to make jokes and stuff. So that's why I did it. So once I got that external validation when I had hit my goals, I eased up.
You were like, I've hit it.
I was like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm cured. And so that's where the complacency came in. I let my foot off the gas and I was like, well, I'm already here. People think I can get off my routine. I can get off my track. I don't have to stay as motivated, because when your motivation is whack from the beginning, it's unstable. Now, where it comes with the irrationality, the second head, which I do think is the most dangerous one, is the pressure that it creates. And where this pressure, it festers in your head when people are telling you that you're inspiring, and when people tell you that like you look so skinny, and people telling like, oh my God, like I can't believe you did it. Like you did it. I heard you did it so many times, as if it was just this one and done kind of thing, that it's not this ongoing process. It created the irrationality of like whatever it takes to make sure that I stay this size. Because and so it started to make my already unhealthy habits even unhealthier.
Right.
Because I was like, you have to work harder. You have to work faster. You cannot let up, because these people think that you're such an inspiration, and people think that you're doing such a great job. And some people are even looking to you, especially when it was our campers. Like when I was a group leader and you were my counselor and we had our boys, I was so worried about letting them down. Because like these were kids who were coming in trying to change their lives. They saw me and I would show them my before and after pictures, and I'd lay awake at night. The boys would all be asleep. I'd be laying awake just being like, how do I make sure that I don't let them down? Like, and it freaked me out a ton. And how do I make sure that I don't let anyone else down? And then on top of that, once I started to gain my weight back, I was like, I don't want to see anybody.
I was going to ask, so you felt like you didn't want to let anybody down. How did it feel once, first of all, were you even like, I guess, conscious of putting on the weight at first? Like at what point did you realize that, you know, your weight loss journey had kind of come to a temporary end and you were on the other end of things?
It was the end of summer 2016.
Okay.
It was the end of summer 2016 when I had gained weight that summer at camp. I had gained weight that summer at camp. I think I had ended up gaining like 13 pounds, which is very hard to do.
Yeah, if you're trending up at camp, that's
because here's the thing. That's when the unraveling was, is because I'd been doing all these unhealthy things just to stay there. I was in my whatever it takes mode. And then finally in 2016, it just all unraveled. Like it's not sustainable.
Now, did you feel that maybe this is like not at all how you felt, but almost you were not like before camp, you were very hard on yourself, very regimented. You go to camp, that's really when you're inundated with a lot of those compliments because everybody is very weight focused at camp. You're spending, you know, we always talked about living 10 months for 2.
Always.
You know, so now you've done the 10 months of like intense diet and exercise, you know, for these 2 months that you can just go buck wild. And you only gain 16 pounds going buck wild because it's a camp that's designed to make you lose weight.
Exactly.
But now you have these bad habits and you leave that environment and you're just eating. Is that kind of how you felt?
That's exactly how it went, because it was sort of like I worked all winter, I will not fail summer kind of thing. Like I had to do that because that was my time for me to let loose, and then I could like go on a bender. And then I always felt like, well, once camp ends, I'll get back on track. It was sort of like inverting the purpose of camp for me, because especially as a counselor, and it was so unhealthy and it messed with my mind so much. And then when I left camp in 2016, that's when things really just fell apart.
In what way?
Just in my, like with my weight, obviously, but my weight was compounded with just like a lot of shit happened in life. Life happened.
Yeah.
Life happens. Like I was finishing up college, personal things went completely down the drain, and then then things started to rebound a little bit, but then they came crashing down even worse. And then that's when like years and years of depression that I had suppressed finally was like, oh, hey, you got room in your head? Well, we're coming in anyway. So really, like what I want to tell people is that you can't do this for other people, because this is all rooted, like the reason why I couldn't handle these compliments, and I think that this might be helpful for a lot of people who are going through this and especially experiencing this for the first time. The thing that I really want to tell people is that you can't do it for other people. Your motivation, what's your why? It's a great question. What is your why? Why? Answer me this.
Oh boy.
Truly.
Putting me on the spot here.
Yeah, because like we are on a public platform, so we're going to share ours, but what is your why? Why did you want to start losing weight?
Well, I guess if I had to really just boil it down to one thing, I've never really been happy with myself the way I've looked, and I'm kind of hoping that if I look better, if I feel better, then
everything else improves.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that, and honestly, that's a very authentic and true answer. It doesn't have to be dressed up. So many people think that it has to be this wild and extravagant story of like why you want it. It's not a testimonial for yourself. It's for you. So like for me, right? Like when I finally like got on the program, I boiled it down to this. I said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like that's what it was for me. And which was totally different. Before, it was like I want to date girl, like I want to date again. Like I want people to see me seriously as like a companion, and like that's what I really really wanted. And so now it's just I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it was ruining every aspect of my life. And I want people, anyone who's going through this journey, like we're sharing ours because like we're here for everybody, like with whatever they might need. But if you're going through this journey, I need you to write it down, and I need you to put it away where only you can find it. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Because I think that's extremely important. No one else has to know it. Only you have to know it, because you're doing this for yourself and you're not doing it for other people.
So what are some things that our listeners, or even really me, what could I take away from this as how do I avoid the complacency, and how do I avoid the irrationality.
That's where I think this, what's your why, and writing it down where only you can read it, that's where I think the solution is. Because now that I have mine written down, like I have that phrase written down in my iPhone notes, like that only I read, and I read it every single day. Like I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. By writing it down and having that be your why and being your motivation, that's what allows you to enjoy people complimenting you. Like the external validation, I don't care who you are. Everybody loves to be externally validated. I don't care who you are. Everybody
absolutely
loves having nice things said about them. And that's not a bad thing. It's just when you finally have your motivation set and why you're doing this, and you know that your foundation is rock solid, then you don't have to put any ulterior motives into your own head based off of what people are saying nice things about you. You can just enjoy them because people are happy for you.
I gotta say, that's one of the nice things about, for me, not being on social media. You know, you pass forward a bunch of compliments that I get on our social pages from our wonderful listeners, and I do have a lot of friends that reach out to me, you know, by text, and by Snapchat, which is the only social network that I have.
Right.
But I do feel like I'm not inundated with compliments, and so I don't chase the thrill of getting likes.
Yeah, you're not chasing clout.
Compliments on it. You know, instead I just pop up on a random video on our Instagram every couple of weeks, and people can see the progress for themselves.
Right. And if you're everybody's motivation is different, but if you're only losing weight just so people will say nice things about you, those aren't the type of people that you need. You know what I mean? Like if your only motivation is because I want people to say nice things about me, like if that was somebody's why, I don't think that's I think that's a very unstable why. I think it needs to be more about your own personal growth as you shrink. Like,
and that's also why, like, my biggest fear through this whole process is that I come out on the other side with an eating disorder, because I've just seen that happen so many times to so many of my close friends.
Absolutely.
And, you know, just the idea of I want to be able to put on 5 pounds when this is over and not immediately like starve myself.
Right, exactly.
Purge.
Because this isn't a point A to point B journey.
No.
This is a rest of your life. It's a lifestyle change. And that's the big thing, which is why I think if you're going to make any kind of lifestyle change, your foundation on which you will build your house of success needs to be as solid as possible. And so that's really where feeding our ego comes in. And honestly, folks, like we we want you to write down why you're doing this, or maybe if you're just on the outside looking in, just wonder about any goals that you set. Why?
And just write it down.
Write it down.
To it.
Absolutely.
Think about it every day.
And so that's feeding our egos. And you know what? A little heavy, but you know what? I think necessary. But hey, we always finish light. So what are we going to finish with?
We're going to finish with another Fat Camp Follies.
Woo!
And this time we actually have one. I'm very excited to talk about our Fat Camp Follies today. Because this is something that I had kind of forgotten about for so long.
We have not talked about this in forever. And then we put it up on our big board and we immediately knew that's it. That's what we're doing next. Like our next camp story is this. Folks, the title of this Fat Camp Follies is the Camper Council. The Camper Council and the campus elections.
Oh, I was going to call it Decision 2010 because...
Ooh, I do like that, actually. Scratch that. Decision 2010. So the campus council, the Camper Council, okay? Camper Council used to be a thing at camp where we had our own government. And when I say government, I mean, in terms of efficiency, it's probably as efficient as the current government. I don't know. We're not going to get political, but they told us not to get political, so we went with the Camper Council. But the Camper Council was every age group, lower camp and upper camp, like all throughout, had their own sort of positions that you could run for. And it all culminated with the oldest campers being able to run for president and vice president of the camp. And so in this particular summer, 2010, we were both a part of these elections.
So just a little context here. These elections actually occurred before I think I'd made any real impression on people.
Your brand was non-existent yet. People were still kind of figuring out that, like, we called you Strawberry.
Yeah, like people had possibly heard Strawberry before. They didn't really know why. And I didn't really... I didn't really make a name for myself. I didn't have much of a reputation, good or bad, at that point.
And very important with these elections, really, there was
a popularity contest.
There was nothing that could be done. Like, there was nothing that could be done. Historically, what these elections were a chance for kids to go up there and say, I'm going to get us hot chocolate and cheese on burgers, which they already give us anyway, like after the halfway point of camp.
I think they just like purposely withhold the cheese on the burgers so that people running for president can say, I'll put cheese on the burgers.
Right, just like real politics, it's just like a lot of empty promises and vanity. But... And so that was the big thing. But also, this was essentially just a Comedy Central roast for campers.
And I didn't know that going into this.
Because this was your first summer.
This was my first summer. So apparently, like, these are just traditionally roasts. And people go up and just, like, talk shit about other people.
Right. Like, it's all, like, painted in good fun. But it was really just, like, it was friends roasting friends.
And I remember when they had first told us that, like, if you want to run for a position, you got to tell your group leader or whatever. Right. And I remember, I knew you were like a very immediate, like, I'm running.
Yeah.
And I know one of our friends, Jason, was a very immediate, like, yes, he's running. Me, I think I waited like an afternoon and I was talking about it with some of my other friends who were also first year campers. And I was like, I kind of just want to run as a joke. And they were like, oh my God, you should totally do this. We'll like help you write your speech and everything.
Folks, when this idea was hatched, because I had no idea you were running until the day of the speeches.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and you were Gary Johnson. You were Jill Stein. You were the rent is too damn high party. Like, you couldn't have been you were an eighth party candidate. Like, at this point, the way you were treating it.
Honestly, yeah. And yeah, so they have for an evening activity, just one evening activity was like everybody who's running for these positions just goes up, makes a speech, sits down, and then the next morning, I think everybody votes at breakfast.
And then we get the results that night.
Right. And I remember when I had first told our group leader, Trey, by the way, that I wanted to run for president, he was like, no, you don't.
I was like, you don't want to do that.
I was like, I'm serious. He's like, why? And I was like, because I think it'll be fun. And so he eventually put my name in, and then I'm sitting there on stage.
So we're on stage, right? And now, like we said, this is historically like a roast. And now this is where the story gets a little fuzzy. Did you go before us two, me and Jason, or did you go after?
I went first because I'm pretty sure when they set the thing, they were like, oh, here's Jason, who's been here for like 15 years. Here's Seth, who's like one of the most charismatic guys on camp. Like, and then we have Strawberry. So yeah, we're gonna let Strawberry go first.
He's gonna lead this one off.
And it, I mean, there was one other candidate who was running too, who I think went before me.
Right. Yeah, she went before you.
And she was one of the younger, older girls on camp.
Right. Like she had just been in upper, like the lowest group on upper camp. And so, yes, now it's coming back to me because she went, you went, and then our friend Jason went. Okay. But before our friend Jason goes, your speech. The highlights of your speech. Please entertain me with your foreign policy.
So, well, my policy was based on this idea that this is a weight loss camp. We're all here for our goal for weight loss. And there are certain inefficiencies that stop us from achieving our fullest potential.
Absolutely. Good message.
One of my promises was I pledged that we would wake up early at 4 a.m. every morning. And we would use that extra time for extra fitness periods.
Which you know what was followed by? Boo! Get off the stage!
Yeah, people were not happy with that as a selling point.
You came in hot.
And you know what? It was only going to get better because then I said, you know what? We get lemonade and iced tea at lunch and dinner. Like that stuff is not as healthy as water. And speaking of water, why are we paying for all this water through these pipes when we have a lake right there? And so my plan was twofold. Number one, it was going to help. I would have the majorettes and the cadets, the two youngest groups on camp.
So
like, from like the ages of like 7 to 10.
Right.
They would carry up buckets of water up the center hill from the lake to the dining hall.
Very community driven. I'm starting to like this guy.
You know, they're building some muscle, you know, because they either had skinny arms or chubby arms. None of them had any definition.
Yeah, no tone, Bear. No tone.
You gotta be doing the lifts.
You're setting the tone.
So they would bring up the water, and that was what we would drink at meals. Yeah, so
I'm not joking. I have never heard this rec hall boo louder than that moment.
I don't think I'd ever heard cadets and majorettes boo.
They wanted your head.
They were like 7 years old. Like, and they hate except for me because they thought I was serious.
It was so, I am crying on this stage. I am tears are coming down my face because I'm laughing so hard.
Well, and we knew that like the go-to thing that everybody did was everybody like made these like big empty promises of like things that would never happen.
Right. And so you did the same thing, just made it funny.
Exactly. Exactly. I was going for the no one's going to see this coming angle.
It was so funny. And our friend Jason and I were sitting next to each other and we are dying. We are laughing so hard. And so then
there was not a single cheer. It was all either boos or laughs.
Right, exactly. No in between. It's like a Rodney Dangerfield show. Like it's so you end your speech, you sit down, people are booing you, and you're just like doing the celebrating like victory stance. And it was so funny. And then our friend Jason goes up, and we were under the assumption of like, we're just gonna roast each other. Like it'll be funny. I had a bum knee that summer, and like I was in a lot of pain, especially around this time. So Chippy was gonna make fun of my knee. and I was like, perfect. Like these are gonna be funny. And Jason, Chip, if you hear us refer to him as Chip, shout out to you, Chip. He goes up and starts making his speech, gives the first roast a couple laughs, gives the second roast, okay, couple laughs, because the first ones he let off with me, and then he like goes to roast the girl and just goes, this girl, does she even go here? And
I don't think people were happy with that.
And people were just like, huh. And I was just like, oh no, because my entire speech is roasts. Like it is roast. Like if I had gone first, I would have met the same fate. One of the camp directors comes on stage and goes, hey, Jason, do you maybe want to talk about like what you're gonna offer on camp? And I felt so awful for Chip, man, because like
he was really put on the spot.
We wrote our speeches together, and like we thought they were very funny, and like because we just thought that was still gonna be the atmosphere. We didn't know that it was all gonna change that night.
They didn't give you any warning.
And then so like Chip's speech ends. And I'm just sitting there being like, man, that's really tough for Chip, but what's going to happen to me?
Can I just say that there was a moment, because I kind of expected Chippy was like the one to beat.
Yeah.
And can I just say that when he was sitting down and I heard like the response that he got compared to the response I got, I think I had the feeling that I feel like only one other person on this planet has ever experienced, and that person is Donald Trump on the day after Election Day. And I think the feeling was, am I going to be president?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Wait a minute.
No way.
And so then Chip sits down, and I feel awful for him, but I'm in fight mode. I am in fight mode for real, because I'm looking.
And you're improvising.
I'm looking at my speech. I'm looking at the director, and he turns to me and he goes, "What's your speech like?" And I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. And I go up and I just made my entire platform about my bum knee. And I went on this Obama-esque fired up, like ready to rant. Like I got on stage, I tell them it's all good. And then I'm just like, you know what? I've got a bum knee, guys. I don't walk anywhere. And it's great. If you vote for me, free golf cart rides for everybody. Walking is for the plebes. Like, we do not do that anymore. Like, this camp, this is a golf cart camp. And the ruckus, dude. The roof blew off the building, which I was like super happy about. But at that point, I was just kind of like, it was the only thing I had.
Right.
It was the only thing I had. And so, like, people are cheering. And at that point, I was like, I think I got a good shot. Next morning, we all go to vote. People are like, hey, I voted for you. Hey, I voted for you. Hey, I voted for you. Did you get anybody coming up being like, Strawberry?
No, I did not.
You walked into the dining hall, people were still booing.
I think I had to eat lunch in the bathroom that day.
And so that happens, and we vote. And then that night, Chip's just like, you got this. Like, you got this. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know. We don't know. Barry could pull this one out. Like, and
we were all there in our little boy side bubble.
Where
we were like, everybody's going to vote for either Seth and maybe Strawberry if they want to watch the world burn. And then it turns out, who would have thought?
The young female camper, credit to her. She gave an impassioned speech.
She was serious about it.
She was serious about it. Yeah, which I guess if you're running for any type of like political position, you should probably be serious about it. And so she just went like, we're in the rec hall and the announcement's coming, and I'm like, maybe I got this, and then she won, and the place went bananas. Like, the place went nuts. And she gets on stage and she's super happy. And like, in the end, when you look back, like, of course.
And she would have made a better president than any of us.
But just this entire...
Even though the president is like a useless position that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. You go to one camper council meeting and then everybody gets hot chocolate and cheese on burgers. Like, that's honestly just what the camper council does. But us remembering this story was just so fun to like relive and go back through. We were talking about details. We were talking about different stuff. The camp, I wish they brought it back, because I do think that
they did stop the camper council things after like
I think it was
2 years.
I think it was either 2011 or 2012 when they stopped them.
I think it was 2012, because I remember in 2011. Our friend Brian likes to always remind us that he was the last camp president. Yeah.
God, he's the worst. But
I mean, it's okay, because camp president means nothing.
Exactly. And so the camper council, that's just another look behind the curtain into camp and our own little microcosm of society that ran just as poorly as the regular government. And so that's another Fat Camp Follies. And you know what? We're going to go into closing thoughts. And Barry, I want to bring up the amount of reviews that we have been getting.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. That's the first thing I do every morning. I wake up and I check reviews.
Oh, my God. Like, I love it. It is unbelievable how many of you are rating and reviewing. We're up to 125 5-star ratings. Wow. And, folks, we can't thank you enough for that. That just means... It means everything.
Now, 125 5-star ratings. How many non-5-star ratings do we have?
That's going to be a goose egg, Barry. That's a 0. We are 125 straight 5-star ratings.
Man, that's awesome. Who has the best fans?
We've got the best fans, man, always. And you know what, folks? If you're with us, we're with you. But until next time, I'm Seth.
And I'm Strawberry.
And this is Sorry for the Wait.